Hey everyone, my name is Luke Sharkey and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a professional photographer based in Hobart, and I really love sharing the passion that I have for getting out into the wilderness, into nature, and capturing just incredible nature photography scenes. And this is hopefully the first of many videos just giving a bit of an insight into my process and some of the tools that I use. And in this case, I'm really excited to discuss with you a new feature that's present or just showed up in the windy.com app, which is probably one of my favorite apps for planning around the weather. And fortunately I had the ability to provide some feedback through the forums, and actually one of the features that I've requested has actually been implemented, which is very, very exciting for me. Just a little bit about what I like to do. I love training people online and also in person in photography workshops. I do that through the Sony Scene platform here in Australia. So if you check out the link in the description below, you can see a little bit more about what I do there. I also really am big on planning my photography shoots. So when we're doing landscape photography, we're going out into nature, and we are often maybe a bit under time pressure, or we have the ability to be able to make decisions on where to go given the weather conditions that are present at the time. And so by planning and understanding the weather, we have a much better idea of being able to get ourselves into the most beautiful place at the most beautiful time of day in the most beautiful light to be able to create these most beautiful pictures that we're trying to present to our audience. And that's really how I think about my job as a landscape photographer. It's all about maximizing that beauty, maximizing that light, maximizing the conditions that we have, so that we can walk away with some photos that really turn people's heads. And that everyone's scrolling through Instagram and things like that these days. It's really nice to be able to have a photo that can do that, and often that's really based on the conditions in our pictures. Obviously we can, as photographers, do a bit to improve the post-processing and other aspects, but the planning and having the right conditions for our shots is a huge leg up, I suppose you could say, as part of that. So with that, I love planning around weather conditions, and weather apps are generally you need a different app for different things. But I really like this app called windy.com. And recently, back in 2003, I actually requested a feature. And so I'll just talk to you a bit about the feature that I've requested and what's actually now been implemented in this windy.com platform. I'm not affiliated with windy.com. I do actually have a premium subscription, which I've paid for out of my own pocket. I just really recommend this service because it really is quite an easy to use service, and you can get a lot out of it even if you don't subscribe. So let's get into a bit more of the nuts and bolts of what I'm excited about to show you. So back in, looks like, what it was, 2023, I actually posted on the windy.com forum and requested if there was a particular forecasting model called Access C provided or as an add-on model that's available in the forecasting of windy.com. And one of the developers here, Sutis, responded that at the time they didn't know, or they didn't feel like that model was going to be implemented in windy.com. But scrolling down through, people were sort of talking about the reasons why it's a good idea to have it and things like that. And we do, by October they had an implementation ready, so that's about a year past that. And now they are saying down the bottom here that the web app should be out in the upcoming days, and mobile apps basically saying 8 days ago that they were about to implement this feature. So it is really a bit of a case in point here to say that if you want a feature, do request it. It was really much of a dream for me to have this particular model included into windy.com, and to be able to request it and then have it implemented. And I'm sure there was other requests too, so it's not just all on me, but it does add a lot of feedback and desire to show. And this model does cost money for windy.com to access from the Bureau of Meteorology. And so maybe I should talk a little bit about what the models actually mean and what it's about. This is windy.com. So this is the service that I really like to use for my weather forecasting and understanding what's going on. And so what you can see here is a whole bunch of simulated wind coming through over the state of Tasmania where I'm from. So I spend a lot of time looking at this map. And automatically what will often pop up is this sort of basic mediogram here down the bottom. And so that's kind of like a default view. Sometimes it mightn't show the mediogram, it might just show a blank map like this. If you click on a spot, this icon thing will pop up, and you click on this arrow, it'll actually provide a forecast for that location. Now this particular instance of the browser, I'm not logged in, and so this is what the view would be for someone that is not on premium and hasn't subscribed. And you can see down here that's what this little crown icon sort of represents. You'll see that I can't click over to the 1 hour forecast, and that's I guess the reason to subscribe to Windy Premium, so you can have a higher resolution of information there, or you get more time range essentially. So that's just one thing to note. But really happy that Access VT is still provided for users that do access the model without having to pay, which is great. So you can also see that Access C has a time window of only about 36 hours. And so that's what's simulated here. And that was actually my original request back in the forum. I sort of said it would be good if this Access selector could dynamically switch between Access C and Access G when the time selector is greater than 36 hours. And that's actually what they've done, which is pretty amazing. So you can see here that at that 36-hour point, we're switching from C to G. What you can actually see here, and this is probably a great way to simulate it, this is the resolution of data that Access C provides. But then when we switch over to what Access G looks like, you'll see that it's not going to let me scroll across. The reason I can't scroll across is we don't have the Access model selected. So if I go across to Access, the original Access model, you can see that the resolution of data is much weaker. Now there's probably a better screen to be on to really show this. I think that was around about this point. If I switch between these two, can you just see how much more granularity there is in the data here, like where you can see the different clouds layers are across the state here. So if I switch over to my version here, which is logged in, I actually have a custom color scheme that's set up, which matches some of the other platforms that I use. I guess I'm a weather nerd. I must also say I'm not like a meteorologist, so don't necessarily take everything that I say as gospel. Feel free to correct me and all of those sort of things. I'm learning just like everyone else. I click on the drop down here. And then we can go to Access CVT. So this is a really great example just showing the level of detail between Access C and Access CVT. So this version is actually called Access G, which is like a global model, G for global. And then you've got Access C, which is like a city level of resolution, and that's for VT is Victoria, Tasmania. So you can really see that difference in granularity, and that makes a lot of difference, because if you were trying to plan up here and wanted to shoot around Launceston, you might say, well, it's not going to be very good at that time. But then if you click here, there's actually clear clouds. So we've got another model now that we can use for information, and like when you're chasing auroras or wanting to do a sunrise or wanting to do an astro shoot and not knowing the best place to get a clear sky in a very dynamic place like Tasmania, it's a huge asset to be able to have this level of information. And what's really cool is that Access VT is available also in the mediogram as well. So if I click on the mediogram here, you can see that we've got the VT level of information here. You can really see it here. We're expecting quite a lot of rainfall early Sunday morning. If I click to access, it's actually going to look relatively similar on here, but you've got a different opinion, I suppose, to go with. In the past, I would have used something like ECMWF. You can see ECMWF is a similar kind of resolution to Access G, and which was this one here. And that had if you go out here, there is a screen. If I just move myself here, you'll be able to see that there is ECMWF is 9 kilometer resolution, VT is 1.5 kilometer resolution. So and Access G, the old one here, or the global one, is 12 kilometers. So that sort of shows you why there's such a difference there between those that level of detail. And having detail is really great when you're only an hour out or a few hours out of your shoot. It's always a good idea to have the most accurate information to know where to go and chase the aurora or what have you. And so I'm really excited about having this tool available now. The other aspects to consider is, even though this model is only a forecast, so if your shoot's really close, like a few hours out, it may be better to look at the satellite, because with the satellite you'll actually be able to see what the actual raw data is. The satellite's pictures taken from outer space and taken back to us. So basically a screen like this, that's the current state of what Tasmania looks like at the moment. But then if you view what the cloud forecast was to be for this exact time, it looks like this. So you can see there's quite a big difference between what the forecast was saying and what the satellite's saying. So it makes a lot of sense to use the satellite data because it's raw data in that really narrow window before you go out. Obviously, the satellite doesn't really tell you what's going on in the future. You can only infer what's going to be happening with the clouds based on what you're seeing in the satellite picture. As this plays, you'll actually see that update, and you can see where the clouds are moving from and to, and infer that when you're out of the shoot at a particular location, the cloud might be at that spot. So it's much better to use a satellite for very short-term forecasts. But if you're making a decision on what you're going to do tomorrow, definitely the cloud forecast is going to be your best bet. And now that we've got the Access VT, we've just got that extra level of granularity to make more informed decisions on a much better source of much better resolution of data is really where it's at. So I hope you find that useful. Feel free to give a like and subscribe, and any comments or thoughts you have around this really cool feature to have. And check it out. Do subscribe to Windia Premium. I'm not affiliated with windy.com at all, but they offer a really amazing service. And by subscribing to Premium, you will get the much longer data window, as I mentioned earlier, like here, whereas this is the amount of detail you would have on a non-premium account. By subscribing to Premium, this timeline's just stretched way out, so you've got so much more detail in that to make a more informed decision about your shoots or whatever else it is that you're planning. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. If you'd like me to go into any other detail, just let me know and I'll cover it in another video. Until then, have a good one and see you in the next one. Bye.